They say your life is shaped by your choices, but the truth is far deeper. Your life is shaped by what you believe, especially the beliefs buried so deep you don't even know they exist. And here's the shocking part. Almost everything you do, feel, fear, or hope for is controlled not by your conscious mind, but by your subconscious. So the real question is this: what happens when faith enters that hidden space? What happens when a belief in something greater becomes the code that rewrites your inner world? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover may change the way you see yourself forever. The subconscious mind is the engine that runs your entire life. 95% of your thoughts happen there. Your habits, your reactions, your patterns, your confidence, your fears, all stored like files in a system that never sleeps. You can't touch it directly. You can't argue with it, you can't force it, but you can influence it, shape it, and guide it. And faith, when felt deeply, becomes the most powerful tool to do exactly that. Most people think faith is something spiritual. And it is, but it's also psychological. Neuroscience shows that when you truly believe in something, when you feel certainty, hope, trust, your brain releases chemicals that calm your nervous system. Your heart rate changes, your focus sharpens, and your subconscious takes that belief as a command. It begins adjusting your thoughts, your actions, even your perception of what is possible. That's why faith-driven people often show resilience, clarity, and emotional strength during the hardest moments. They're operating from a different mental blueprint. But here is the secret almost nobody talks about. Your subconscious doesn't care whether a belief is true or false. It only cares about repetition and emotion. When your faith is strong and your intention is clear, the subconscious accepts it as reality. This is why prayers, affirmations, and spiritual routines have such powerful effects, because they bypass doubt and talk directly to the deeper mind. Imagine telling yourself every day, "I'm guided. I'm protected. I'm capable. I'm not alone." With enough emotion behind those words, your subconscious starts building a life that matches those beliefs. You feel braver. You notice opportunities. You stop repeating old patterns. Not because miracles suddenly appear, but because you shift internally and the world responds to that shift in ways you can't always see immediately. If this idea sparks something inside you, don't forget to stay with me. Because in the next part, we're going deeper into how faith rewires the subconscious and how your mind creates your reality long before your eyes see it. And if you're serious about transforming your inner world, make sure you keep watching till the end. What's coming could become the beginning of your personal breakthrough. If the subconscious mind is the silent architect of your life, then faith is the blueprint it follows. People think faith is simply believing in something unseen, but in reality, faith is an instruction, a command to your subconscious. It tells the deeper mind what to prioritize, what to ignore, what to amplify, and what to let go of. And once the subconscious receives that signal, it begins reshaping everything from your emotional reactions to the choices you make without even realizing it. Think about the last time you faced uncertainty. Your conscious mind tried to stay calm, but beneath the surface, there was fear, doubt, or anxiety. Now imagine what happens when faith enters the picture, not as a thought, but as a felt experience. When you truly trust that something greater is working with you, your subconscious shifts from survival mode to creation mode. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, it starts searching for what could go right. Instead of amplifying fear, it strengthens clarity. That's the power of faith operating on the deepest layer of your psychology. Science calls this attentional bias. Faith directs your mind toward hope, solutions, and opportunity. Your brain starts filtering reality based on what you believe is possible. That's why two people can face the same situation but experience completely different outcomes, because the subconscious interprets the world through the lens of belief. One person sees dead ends. The other sees direction. Same reality, different programming. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. The subconscious communicates in symbols, emotions, repetition, and imagination, not logic. This is why faith-based practices like prayer, surrender, gratitude, and meditation are so effective. They bypass intellectual doubt and speak the language of the subconscious. When you feel gratitude even before receiving, your subconscious assumes you already have what you're praying for. When you mentally picture a better future with conviction, it accepts that vision as your new internal truth. And when you surrender fear, it interprets that surrender as safety, allowing you to operate from confidence instead of panic. Faith becomes a bridge of connection between your inner self and the reality you desire. It transforms your energy, your tone, your decisions, your reactions. It softens the voice of fear and amplifies the voice of intuition, and that inner shift creates outer change. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. Think of a time in your life when you felt supported, even when things didn't make sense. Somehow, you found strength. Somehow, you moved forward. Somehow, you survived and even grew. That wasn't coincidence. That was your subconscious responding to your faith, guiding you toward choices that aligned with your highest good. If you're starting to feel that your faith might be more powerful than you ever realized, stay with me. Because in the next part,
we'll explore how to consciously program the subconscious using faith, how to create
inner alignment so strong that your external world begins to shift almost naturally. And trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. If you truly understood how your subconscious mind listens, you would never say anything to yourself that you don't want to see become real. Because the subconscious is always recording, always absorbing, always responding. And this is where the real power of faith comes alive, in the quiet thoughts, the repeated emotions, and the inner stories you tell yourself every single day. Faith is not something you practice only when praying. It's something you practice with every thought you allow to stay inside you. They ask for guidance but keep repeating the story that they're lost. Most people let fear speak louder than faith. They pray for strength but internally rehearse their weakness. They want peace but mentally live in chaos. The subconscious cannot tell which voice is stronger. It simply follows the one you feed. And this is why many people feel their prayers go unanswered. Their faith speaks once, but their fear speaks all day. The subconscious obeys whichever voice is consistent. But here's the breakthrough. When you consciously choose faith-based thinking thoughts of trust, hope, belief, and surrender, you begin to train the subconscious to accept those thoughts as its new default. And once the default shifts, your entire life begins to change with it. Psychology calls this neural dominance. Spirituality calls it alignment. But in simple words, it means this. What you consistently believe becomes what you eventually experience. Imagine waking up every day with the belief that you are protected, guided, and supported. Imagine facing challenges with the conviction that they are temporary, purposeful, and preparing you for something greater. Imagine responding to doubt with trust, replacing panic with calm, and letting go instead of holding on so tightly. With repeated practice, this becomes your subconscious identity. You don't force faith, you become faith. The subconscious does not need loud declarations. It needs consistent emotion. When you feel even a small moment of genuine trust, real trust, your subconscious listens. It relaxes. It stops fighting. It stops resisting. It begins to work with you instead of against you. That's when you start noticing signs, clarity, timing, and unexpected solutions. It's not magic. It's alignment. Your mind becomes quieter. Your reactions become wiser. You stop creating problems that never existed. You begin attracting people and opportunities that match your new internal vibration. This is why faith-driven people often step into breakthroughs at moments that seem random. It isn't random. Their subconscious has already been preparing the path. There is something incredible that happens when faith becomes your inner language. You stop waiting for life to change before you feel safe, and you start feeling safe first, and then life changes. You shift from chasing outcomes to attracting them. You move from fear-based living to purpose-driven living. If this is resonating with you even slightly, then the final part will take everything deeper. Because next, you'll learn how to combine faith, intention, and subconscious programming into a single force that can transform the direction of your entire life.
By now, you understand that faith is not just a feeling or a belief, is a force that shapes your inner world, and your inner world shapes everything else. The subconscious mind is always listening, always absorbing, and always creating from whatever you feed it. When your faith becomes intentional, when your thoughts align with your trust, your entire internal system begins to operate on a higher level. But the real transformation happens when you combine faith with conscious programming. Every time you visualize a better future, your subconscious takes that mental image as instruction. Every time you affirm a truth with emotion, your subconscious stores it. Every time you surrender a fear and replace it with trust, your subconscious reorganizes itself around that new belief. This is not about ignoring challenges, it's about giving your mind a blueprint that allows you to rise above them with clarity instead of collapsing under them. The truth is, faith gives your subconscious permission to create possibilities your conscious mind can't yet see. When you trust deeply, you stop blocking outcomes with fear. You stop forcing situations you're meant to release. You stop repeating patterns that kept you stuck for years. And slowly, quietly, powerfully, the path in front of you begins to shift. This is why breakthroughs often happen when people finally let go. Not because letting go is passive, but because surrender is one of the most powerful signals you can send to your subconscious. It tells your deeper mind, I am no longer fighting reality. I am ready to be guided, and guidance only becomes visible when your inner noise becomes quiet enough to hear it. Your subconscious has always been trying to lead you toward growth, healing, and alignment. But fear, doubt, and old beliefs often drown out that guidance. Faith clears the fog. It gives you clarity that logic alone cannot offer. You begin making choices that match your higher self instead of your wounded self. When faith takes root in the subconscious, you stop living from past stories and start living from future potential. Your energy changes, your conversations change, your expectations change, and life responds to that shift in ways you can't predict but can always feel. It awakens intuition, strengthens discipline, and sharpens your sense of what is right for you. The right people appear, the right opportunities unfold. The timing begins to make sense. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you become aligned. So take a moment now and think about one belief you know has been limiting you. One story you've repeated for years. One fear that has shaped your decisions. Hold it in your mind and then imagine releasing it completely. Replace it with a single sentence of faith that feels true to you. Let your subconscious receive that signal. Let it become the new voice inside you. Your life will always rise to the level of your faith, and your faith will always shape the world your subconscious creates. The journey begins with Anand. Now you know where to start.